Welcome back to The Betrayed. I'm Gina Beck.
This is Drew Williams.
I'd like to thank you for listening, liking, viewing, subscribing, whatever you're listening on, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I love the feedback. I love the comments, the Instagram messages. It's amazing. I love y'all.
All the feedback is one of my favorite things after we launch an episode, just to see the comments on the YouTube and all that type of stuff. I love seeing all the people quoting you. Still blows me away. But how are you?
It's fun. I'm doing really good. How are you?
I got no complaints, really. How's your
Besides
health?
my burn on my leg. Oh, sorry, we talked at the same time, but
No,
besides my burn on my leg.
Yeah, your burn was pretty. I guess it's not as bad as I thought it was, because when you first, I was like, oh, she's going to the ER and getting like silver colloidal cream or something like that. But you said you just been hitting with like Neosporin and like hydrogen peroxide or something like that.
Yeah, I've been keeping it clean and putting medicine on it and letting it breathe and stuff like that. It's healing really well. But yeah, it's pretty crazy and it's gross. And yeah, whatever. It's nasty.
You look like a
looking at
badass in
it.
your video, though. So, I mean, there's a plus there.
Oh, riding the quad?
Yeah.
It wasn't even that video where it happened. It was right after that video. My phone died, so it didn't get recorded. But I went down to the fence again, and then when I went back, I had all that room, and I kind of like hit the throttle a little too hard, and I did a big wheelie, a huge one. And then when I landed and turned right. So I was leaning, and I kind of like threw myself to the left. And my leg was touching the hot part on the side of the quad, and I had to pull myself up or let go. So I pulled myself up, but my leg was on that hot thing for a good like minute or so, and it got a good burn.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to put pictures up, but the picture I saw
No.
was gnarly.
Yeah.
Gnarly.
I don't ever like seeing that stuff, so I don't want to post stuff like that for others to see, because every time I see something like that, I'm like, ugh, yeah, nope, close my eyes.
Watch, you're gonna
No,
see
I don't wanna
comments.
see
People
it.
are like, let's see the picture. But no, I get it.
No.
The video, though, I mean, looks like you got a pretty decent sized backyard. I mean, your house is huge.
Yeah, I love it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna make some content and stuff like that, and just do some fun stuff that I want to do. I love to ride. We got a bunch of places to ride. The river's close. It'll be a good summer for sure.
That's awesome. I'm super stoked for you guys.
How are you?
I'm good, just been helping my parents out, put up the Christmas lights on my parents' house today. Just helping my mom get into her, because my mom loves Christmas, so it's a good time of year. I like having family around.
Well, let's get into some stories. I just kind of want to kick it off with something really crazy. 2 K-pop stars sentenced to prison for rape. What the? I know quite a few of my friends like K-pop, so this was surprising to hear.
Yeah, there's a.
When I hear how highly they talk about them, I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, because I don't know the genre at all, but the 2 guys that were arrested and sentenced were Jung Jun-young and Choi Jung-hoon, and they were sentenced for one for 5 years and the other one for 6, and then they both have to do like sexual treatment education programs. I think it's like 80 plus hours, and they're banned from working with children.
Good.
I forget. I thought it said somewhere in there how young the victims were, but they were like trading the sex tapes and making jokes about drugging and raping the women.
Yeah, they were too drunk to resist, and that is not okay.
Yeah, if you actually dig into it, because I didn't know anything about the scandal type stuff, but there's a bunch of stuff in the last like 5 years that happened. There's been another one that was arrested for providing prostitutes to like foreign nationals at his events, and then there was 2 suicides from 2 girls for due to cyberbullying. So there's been a lot of weird stuff going on.
That's so sad.
The thing that blows me away is
I
they raped women. They're only going to jail for 5 to 6 years. That just,
hashtag more punishment for predators.
yeah, definitely.
Seriously, I've been using that one.
Yeah, I noticed you using it that recently. I was like, that's a new one. I haven't seen you use that one before, but it's a good one. That's something else that I saw. I don't know if you still wanted to talk about the K-pop stuff. Did you have anything more about that?
No, I want to follow up and keep track of that stuff though, for sure.
There was another thing that I saw that was it's transgender. Is We'll call her her. I'll be respectful. She goes under the name Dakota, but her legal name was Jacob Neves, and he was indicted September 27th on sexual exploitation charges after investigators say she produced images and videos of herself abusing two children under 4 years of age. Then she later on went on to admit that she used Kick and Discord to sell the videos and obtain more child pornography. And
Wow.
she was 19 years old when she was arrested.
No words. Like, what the?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, is there any more? There was no a ton of details on this one, but she is arrested. She was federally prosecuted. Yeah, she was. There was
How long?
how long? There wasn't a. I don't think she's been sentenced yet. I think she's just been convicted. So I don't think the sentencing has
Mhm.
happened yet. But when they raided her house in August, she admitted to distributing images and child pornography to a user she met on Kick, and it was a group geared towards individuals interested in pedophilia. So apparently, there's a bunch of subsections. I mean, just like everything on the web, there's some other dark stuff going on Kick too, which I imagine they all do.
Definitely. I definitely have some things that I could say about Kick, but I want to save that for possibly our next episode, so stay tuned for that. We found out some things about Kick, and we might have a guest come on who was the founder of those things and send it to us. So stay tuned for that podcast.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The whole thing blows me away. I I just how young she was too. I mean, to already go through transitional surgery and still be a teenager and then be charged with something like that is just it's horrendous. It makes you really think. Like, I mean, 19, they're already monsters.
Any age,
Yeah,
really. And if you see anything more on that, you should let us know.
absolutely.
Atwater Man was accused of using online gaming chat apps to sexually exploit children. I just got sent this from a supporter, and well, not just, but I think he tagged me in it on Facebook. And so I wanted to talk about this. It was well, a Fresno, California federal agents are seeing that these predators are going to great lengths to entice their victims, and we've we saw that firsthand, right? They're logging onto games like Fortnite or apps like Musically, which would now be TikTok, and befriending them only to make criminal requests, but they're also offering big perks. So typical groomers. And it's just crazy. I know all too well about grooming and stuff like that, and the signs to watch out for. So be sure to check your kids' devices, even their video games. Anything with a chat log, you guys. Anything with a chat log and a way to talk to other people needs to be monitored for sure.
Which is basically almost everything on the internet. I mean, you basically should be watching everything your kid does on the internet. And it sounds like being over evasive, but there's ways to monitor without being that dick parent. You need to protect them. It's just the dangers are real, and people, I still don't think realize how rampant it really is on the internet.
For real. I mean, think about the black web. Is that what it's called?
Dark
You know,
web,
dark web, whatever
deep
it's called.
web. I'm sure there's someone calls it the
Deep
black
web.
web.
Yeah, deep web, whatever it's called. But like, that's a scary place, and I don't ever see stuff on that. And that's a whole nother world in internet land, you know?
Yeah, dark web. I mean, it's just like it's one of those things that that term makes it seem scary. There's not necessarily only bad things going on the dark web. There's a lot of like
Right.
freedom of speech and things like that, and But
Yeah,
yeah, there's some scary stuff on there, absolutely. I mean, everything from drugs to human trafficking to supposedly hits. It's pretty crazy. I mean, it's just like pretty much all the drama that goes on in real life goes on the internet, it seems like these days.
exactly. A 23-year-old woman was allegedly set on fire by 5 men while she traveled to a court hearing about her rape case.
Where did this
Like
happen?
I was speechless when I heard this. Well, first of all, she's 23. Let's start there.
Okay.
Young, that's younger than me. Ouch. She's just traveling. She's already gone through so much. She is probably stressing anxiety about this case, and she's got a critical condition with burns on 90% of her body. 5 men, including her two alleged rapists, are in custody. It happened in India, which is like not in America or anything like that. People might not care or anything like that, but if you Google what's going on in India right now that has to do with rape and stuff, it is insane.
It's
There is
horrendous.
so much stuff going on, and I just want to talk about it because there's so much. This isn't even hitting a dent or even like a little this is like a little story compared to what's going on in India.
Yeah, there's a basically the best way to describe it is probably a rape epidemic, but I think it's one of those things that's been going on for so long, and now people are just really starting to pay attention to it. It's it it's really disgusting in India because it's not India is a multi-religion a country, so you have radicals from different
Mm,
religious groups taking things out on
yeah.
women from other religious groups, and then you also have, and when you get into some of the other religions, they defend the rapists more than they defend the women. The women are second class citizens, things like that. It's disgusting. It's really sad because India's got some. I mean, that's where a lot of culture came from, is from that area of the world, and to think that they're acting like that is just they're acting like animals. I mean, it's disgusting.
If you Google it, you'll see so much going on right now there about this kind of stuff. And you know, something that I should mention is that everywhere in different countries, they may have different ages of consent, right? But there are groups in these places, just like there would be, anywhere else, that are fighting against it and want to make a change. Now, something that is going on here is not the same. I mean, age of consent, you got to be 18, which is great. But there are groups that want to legalize pedophilia and want to make it to where kids can consent. They think that they should be able to, that they have the mind for it, and that's not okay. So in order for them to make that happen, they got to get enough people to make a change.
Well,
So we need to get enough
they've
people.
even gone a steps further. That's even scarier. And I've only seen this recently, but the young teenage boys and girls that are for removal of age consent. There's videos of them online talking about how they're for that, and they're just,
Yeah,
to me, when I watch those videos, it's like, you've been groomed. You're talking to someone that's groomed you like this. It's
yeah. So we got to be the people and to make sure that there's more punishment for predators, not just child predators, all predators, but specifically child predators, of course, but all of them. I mean, like Drew said, I don't know how this guy only got this much time. That's said with a lot. That's said with majority.
Well, yeah, you look at like cannabis convictions in places like Alabama. There's an old man that was caught with a joint who was going through cancer treatment, and he got like 40 plus years or something like that. And then you got people in there that are probably serving less for murder and rape. It's just, we got everything so backwards right now.
Well, the woman had filed a case of rape against 2 men from her village in March and also accused one of the men of filming the crime. Both women and her alleged assailants are the Unao, a district in North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. At the time she was supposed to present herself for the court hearing, one of the men she had accused of rape was on the run from the police and another was released on bail last week. 5 men, including the 2 accused of rape, have been arrested in connection with today's assault, according to a statement by police.
Wow. And there's so many of them that happened there. You probably won't even get an update on what happened completely.
There was eyewitnesses as well,
Well, and you said that
who walked.
didn't you say they also
What?
recorded the crime too?
Yeah, there was one man who recorded it. She said, "Yeah, there were eyewitnesses to the incident, and the woman walked for nearly 1,000 yards while she was still ablaze, looking for help. It was only when she reached like a crowd of onlookers that one of them dialed the police for help. And attending doctors told the Times of India that the woman, although conscious, is in a critical condition and is reported to have burns all throughout her body, 90% of it, and she'll be shifted to a bigger hospital."
Yeah, I can't even imagine being burned that bad. I gave myself 3-degree burns with water having a seizure in the shower, and that was just on my like lower half of my body. And I mean, she was set ablaze. Like I can't even imagine the pain that she's in because it
Yeah,
takes so long to heal.
yeah, this incident is the latest in a like relentless series of attacks on Indian women. And just last week in South India, police said a veterinarian was raped and burned to death by men who first deflated her tire, then offered to help her. And that, like I said, that's going on a lot. This is also the second instance in which women have been punished for speaking about rape in the district.
That
In
didn't.
2018,
Oh, keep
go
going.
ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say in 2018, a 17-year-old girl tried to set herself on fire in Unnao after she accused a former member of the ruling of Bahar- Bharatiya.
You're gonna butcher them. That's
Gina-
a very hard language to speak. Sorry if we have anybody that's Indian that's a viewer, but they're hard words to say.
well, it was a party of assaulting her in 2017. And the teen was alleged that her father, who was in prison for a separate case, was beaten to death in judicial custody by the man who raped her following the complaint. And her family was since been moved out of the out of the district and is India's you know central district of investigation claimed they are believed to be under the highest level of threat. Like I said, it's getting really crazy over there. And following the latest series of assaults, several Indians have once more begun demanding extreme punishments for rape. Good, right? Including capital punishment and chemical castration, as they did after the brutal gang rape and murder in 2012 when a student was attacked on a bus.
I I'm just trying to find words to even gather to even talk about any. I mean, it's all stuff that I know that's been going on, but anytime the subject gets brought up, it just I
The sad thing is there's little evidence in that such measures have proved to be a deterrent against sexual violence, right? So elsewhere in the world, some have even argued that extreme punishments for rapists mean that women are more likely to be killed during rape, so they cannot testify against their attackers. That's super scary. And either way, the deck appears to be stacked against Indian women who are sexually assaulted all the time. And after 2012, laws were made more strict, accounting for a wider range of abuse and stricter punishments and guidelines for collecting and examining evidence in cases of rape were introduced. However, though, like in practice, India is still struggling all the time with training, and it's understaffed and overburdened police force. So court services handle cases of assaults like swiftly, and they're very sensitive and effectively too.
I just what do you do? I mean, besides talk about it and try and send them some type of empathy because we can't do anything here. You can't change India. You can't change those people
No,
there.
we can't at all. But something that we can do is shed light on what's going on there so that it doesn't happen here.
Absolutely. And at least maybe you could just at least shedding light there at least might help some of those women at least maybe feel like it people outside of India at least care.
When you have over 100,000 rape cases that are still backlogged, that's an issue.
That's those are scary, scary numbers. I mean, I know India is one of the most densely populated countries on the planet, so it does, it makes sense to some degree. Like those numbers would be that high, but it's scary that they're that high.
Yeah, it really is.
But I got something I wanted to ask you about. So,
What's up?
how was since you haven't been able to talk about it and they aired in the last few couple days, let's talk about your Dr. Phil experience. How are you feeling after everything and after seeing both episodes and now you can finally actually talk to other people besides me and the other close group of people that knew.
I'm very appreciative of to be able to come on first and foremost. It was a great experience. They flew us out, got us a hotel. We got to hang out in LA for the day. It was really great. They really took care of us in that way. And when we got there, hair and makeup, they were super nice. Do you watch a lot of Dr. Phil?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, my one of my brothers from another used to live with me. We used to like 5 days a week. We'd have a little dab session and watch Dr. Phil, which Dr. Phil would hate. But yeah, I love Dr. Phil. He cracks me up. But he's brutal.
Yeah, I never really watched him honestly until this, and then I binged, on YouTube a bunch of stuff and very valuable episodes, and yeah, I really like them. But went on. I was in the audience. I'm sure if you're listening, I'm sure you watched. But I was sitting next to the agent, and I just I got talked to a few times or once, and then Jesse had talked to me. But I I was just there for support for the community. I support everyone and anyone that does this. Period. Like I support everybody that wants to risk their life to be able to expose these child predators. And being a decoy, it is hard work, guys. It's really hard work. You got to respect the stuff that they do. They get as much love as they do hate, I see, but it's really respectable. And the decoys behind the scenes that people don't see are the backbone. They are the ones that are really putting everything together. And I think that should have been talked about more, you
Well,
know.
that's something for me personally, being what I did when we were exposing people. I edited all the chat logs, so I really know the amount of work that the decoys actually put in. And to me, the chat logs are more revealing than anything, than even the exposures themselves. I mean, the chat logs to me are like, if you read them and go through them, it's like without a doubt, this person is a child predator and they need to be stopped.
Well, right. You listen to a child predator and you're telling them what you did is wrong, and they're explaining their case, and then it sounds totally different than their chat logs, and that's where you get them. Like you said, it's very revealing. It gets them. That's where all the evidence is, because they could say whatever. So when Dr. Phil read the chat logs, people were like, definitely a pedo. Well, not like a pedo, but like, you know what I mean? I'm sure that was the first thing that came to mind, but technically he doesn't qualify
He's
as a as a
a
pedo.
he's a hedophile, right? Hepophile.
Yeah, and but I feel like if they would have waited, it definitely would have been sexual. And after the show, we were walking out, and I was walking with the FBI agent, and him and his wife were in front of us, and we were walking out into the main room off stage, and he turns to shake his hands with the FBI agent, and then he turns to me to introduce himself to me, and he goes, "Are you with him?" And I said, "No, I'm a part of one of the groups." And his face changed completely.
Well,
He
he found out you were a vigilante. Sorry, I just the way he did, the way he says that. It's my new favorite way to say it.
a vigilante.
Vigilante. It's like, oh, you had to French it up
That's
there,
funny.
bro. That's cool.
Yeah, but his face completely changed, and he didn't want to talk to me after that. But I told him, I said, as a decoy, I would have waited at least, until you got sexual to do an exposure, and because what he said was bad, Very bad. You should not want to offer alcohol. You should not ask her if she has a boyfriend or not, and say that she's cute. That's the starting of grooming.
Mm-hmm.
It's a typical groomer. And so if he's starting like that, the decoy should have let it play out. And if he was very persistent about meeting, there's ways to swerve these guys. Decoys, listen. There's ways to swerve them. You swerve them like you would swerve a man in your life that you don't want to talk to, but you do it in an innocent way. So he wants to hang out and you don't have enough evidence? Make up excuses. You gotta freaking play with your cousin, okay? Because it's their birthday. You got a grandma that's coming to visit from out of town. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, if people want to see an example of your work, I still have a group on Facebook that has all of the chat logs we put public live. And when I say edit, all I did was remove any decoy pictures, addresses, anything that just could expose our decoys is what I would remove from it. If you search Jaeger bombs, like the drink Jaeger bombs with a J, with Jaeger bombs with Rob Jager, Raubjager. I'll
We
add
can
you.
put a link in the
Yeah, we can put
description
a
for
link for
you if
sure.
you want.
If you want to see her work and the other decoys on the team too, they're very the good one. The good ones are all lengthy. They're very long. There's a lot to put in. The chat logs that were on Dr.Phil, those are literally would be like the first two screenshots that I would get from an actual exposure. There'd be 50 to 100 more screenshots after that before they would even approach that guy.
And credit to the decoy who spoke to him, because you were innocent and you did let him control the conversation. I respect that. Um, and I, all my advice would be is to have carried it out longer, and that's it. And I'm sure by now that happened 3 years ago, so I'm sure by now, you know, they don't even need advice at all.
I mean, they did. He lost his job and stuff. I would say they did a pretty good job, honestly.
Amazing. Yep, he lost it and was complaining about that, but I was just like, good. And that's why I said on the episode, I said, why didn't you block her? Like,
That was my favorite part.
yeah, you find out someone's underage, or if an underage person messages you, which no decoys messages the people first, but if you message someone, it turns out they're underage, and if you're skeptical, ask for an ID. Say, I don't want to talk to your parents, or just not entertain at all.
I was gonna
That's
say
so
the whole thing is
stupid. Don't be
weird.
dumb.
That's so. I mean, don't be dumb. It's just like how about not be a predator? I mean, if you've got those problems,
Same thing. Same
go
thing. Don't
seek
be a
help. Like
predator.
I don't want to say anything that I really want to say, but go seek help. If you're really one of those people, go. There is help for those people. It's not hard. You have internet access. There, you can find something.
I meant don't be dumb by just like entertaining it. Like, I know that some people may not be a predator, but they want to fish if it's really a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old or 12-year-old. I've had uh men who message me who just fished, and then they'd be like, "Oh, really?" They'd block at the end of the only a few. They'd block at the end though, but they fish to find out if it's real or not. They'd want the proof picture. Like, they would want the proof picture, and sometimes I'm the one that asks for the proof picture because I want to make sure they're real too, and I'm not meeting someone that is not who they are or wants to hurt us. We do thorough background before we have met people.
Yeah, yeah. Most people don't understand like before any of those lives would go, how many people were involved with just getting as much information as we could to prep both G and Jesse as well as we could. I mean, personally, I'm still proud of what we did. It did.
Oh yeah, always.
I'll always be proud of what we did. There was a lot of work put into it. I don't feel bad for anything that we did. Really find it
But
really funny that ICAC doesn't approve of what is going on, considering you guys confronted an ICAC officer in a government vehicle. But
I wanted to touch on that because during the episode, either with the stuff going on and everything that happened, people I saw a few comments, oh, it's scripted, this is fake. Wasn't scripted. 100% real. Nobody told us to say anything um at all. There's nobody in our room saying, oh, say this or nothing like that. It was totally 100% real. So going on and hearing and seeing everything that's going on, I, for some reason, didn't register that ICAC's opinion was part of this. Like, for some reason, I don't remember that or something. So watching it, it was news to me, and it that's why it registered. We caught an ICAC guy. Of course, their opinion is going to be like that because he was with ICAC for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
He was 36. His name was Derek in CDA, Idaho. He came to meet a 15-year-old boy, and he admitted it on camera
He came
that
in a
he worked with
government car.
ICAC.
He came in a government licensed
Yeah,
car.
yeah, and admitted that he worked with ICAC, and ICAC had reached out to us. We had went to ICAC and had a meeting, and then we had a over the phone meeting later on. And I'm not gonna discuss our meeting, but it was apparent that they knew him very well, and they just, I don't know, they never followed up after that unless they're, but we also don't get told everything. What people need to know is, yeah, they're not going to tell us everything when we turn evidence in. And after every single bust, I would email chat logs. And so they would have it, and it's up to them on what they do. So there could be investigations, there could be arrests that we don't know about. They're not going to email us and say, yay, you got an arrest, come to the conviction. They're not going to say that unless they need us. If they need us to come to court or something like that, they will get a hold of us any way they can. But if they don't need us, we don't know unless we look it up, and we try to stay up. I tried to stay up to date on what these guys are doing. I still follow their social media and see what they're up to all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them too, and so many of them like, I mean, just like the show says, there isn't a huge conviction for what we do, but I hope someday there is a way to basically like bounty hunting. I think we've discussed it before for people to be able to go through training and be able to do this. Because I personally, I don't think the police and them they act like we're not trained. I don't think they're doing enough. And the fact that civilians doing it for free can expose that many shows there's a need for it some way on some level because their training's
I,
not doing enough.
I've been seeing more and more stings lately from law enforcement, which I love to see, and I I respect that, and it's great, and I agree with you. At the same time, I think that when we did it at such a rapid rate they couldn't keep up. So if they had people that was, which they do, that's ICAC, that's their job. But I don't know, we do it at a rapid rate compared to them, and they just couldn't keep up with the evidence, and everything's such a long process and paperwork, and that's the
Don't
downfall, is it's paperwork,
don't get me wrong. I think that there
so
was things that all the teams, including us, could have critiqued on completely. But I think that if there was something set in place where people actually knew what they could and couldn't do, what was needed, you know what I mean? Something more set in stone, what was required.
exactly, but they couldn't give us advice, even if, like, we can't get advice from them,
Yeah,
and unfortunately, otherwise it would, that'd be way better, but that would make them look like they're working with us, and they can't do that. We've been told, we can't give you advice. We just want you to know the risks and be safe.
no, and I can respect law enforcement's side and their concerns on stuff like that, but I still feel like I think some of their reactions are is it's kind of like they don't like other people doing their job, especially when they're doing it a little bit better, even if it was at a rapid rate. And they have protocols that they can't do because they kept saying stuff about entrapment, but that's only for police officers. Like what we were doing that wouldn't
Yeah,
legally we wouldn't be applied to that. But
yeah.
if we
I just
were
like to put myself in other people's shoes, and imagine if you were a detective, right? And you've never dealt with anything like this before, and all of a sudden You've got hundreds of emails from one man of chat logs that are disgusting, from someone that you don't know claiming that they're a decoy. And then after that, 5 more come because you just did 5 more in the same night. And then in the next day, you do another one. And then the next day, you do another one. We did 1 a day to 5 to 4 a day, up to 7 a day in Indiana in one day. So that is, that's a lot of chat logs. It's a lot of paperwork. That's a huge process. And these guys are probably like, I'm overwhelmed.
I
Like,
honestly I can feel him for that because there was times when I would get the screenshot dumps and it's just like it's over and I can't even imagine if you were dealing with all the information at once because all I did was deal with chat logs and then try and find social
phone
media.
calls and all the audio, and the video. Yeah, you're sending over a lot at one time, and then with how many we did, it's even more. So I just felt like it was overwhelming. We did it at a rapid rate, and there could be investigations and stuff that we have no idea about that's going on.
And
But
that comes down to like legal things too, and like I mean, there's public records for arrests that you can look up depending on state and stuff like that. But like you said, they're not gonna call you and be like, "Gina, congratulations, your guys' team got this guy." That's not how things work. Like I
no.
wish it did. I mean, it'd be pretty cool if you like got to know like you had like some official counter. But I mean, that's
But
just
it's like some people expect that. They're like, yeah, oh, you only have this many arrests, this many convictions compared to all the people you've busted. That's only the ones we know of. And,
well,
I
the other thing that they kept bringing up that Dr. Phil, like I said, I love Dr. Phil. I watch the show. I don't agree with him all the time. A lot of times I don't agree with him on stuff. But
I see a lot of people don't agree with him on this episode.
yeah. But I just the way he was defending it just seemed to me like he was defending the pedophiles more than people exposing because they kept bringing up the fact about public shaming. And it's like, yeah, that's
That's
absolutely what we're using. Absolutely. But no one's denying that because that's the only weapon we have. That's the only thing we can do.
that, and I think he was just treading on water, like on a fine line, because he didn't want to get sued. That's why he blurred everybody's faces during the bus that they showed.
Even the Tud
Um,
tattoo.
yeah, he didn't want to get sued. He didn't want to get in trouble by anybody without consent, and that's a big reason why why you can't put them on TV. I mean, how do you expose someone and then say, "Hey, can you sign this consent form so I can put you on national TV and expose you in front of millions and millions of people?" The guy's gonna go, "No,
Yeah,
f you,
absolutely.
I'm out." So, yeah, I think that is a valid point, but also like legal reasons. He's protecting his show, and I just think that he could have been way more harsh. He could have said things and word things in a way that wouldn't have gotten him in trouble. But his opinion is his opinion, and no matter what, we all have done great things, and it shows how many we've all got. When they shown, we've all got way too many. We've all gotten way too many of these guys,
Yeah,
and they that just shows that there needs to be more punishment. Period.
yeah, and the punishment thing is, I mean, that's a whole. We could have a whole discussion episode on what we think punishment for.
Well, I mean, death, castration, it could be so
I
many
didn't know
things,
how
but
dark you wanted to go. Fucking, I was like, I personally, I don't think those people can be fixed. I think there's this magic pill. It's called a bullet. It's really cost effective.
right.
Just, but
Well,
that's
like when I got the man that came to wanting to be with me being 14, but if I had known that he had raped and kidnapped a 6-year-old before I had dropped the age, because we dropped the age within the first 5 messages, like, or the first 2 messages, like right away, we dropped the
very
age.
fast.
So these men until later on in the conversation, and if I would have known that he had raped and kidnapped a 6-year-old, I would have went with a way younger age. But he came to me a 14-year-old. Not only did he come to me a 14-year-old, he groomed me more than any other man has groomed me. I told him, "You're weird. I told him my sister doesn't want me to leave the house. There are chat logs on there, and the chat logs, they'll like blow your mind. They'll just be like, all Gina said was like 1 or 2 words in these sentences, and he was disgusting, wanting to be my girlfriend. I was like, what do you say? I want you to be my love girlfriend. And I was like, what's love girlfriend? And he's like, oh, my girlfriend. And I'm like, why? And he's like,
As soon as you said that, I remember that chat log now because they all blur together for me because they're just screenshots to me. But you actually like you know these voices and faces and things like that, and like, oh, I remember him
and
now.
I haven't dealt with this case in how long has it been? 6, 7, 8 months since that bust happened, maybe even a year since that bust happened. And I remember the chat logs like it was yesterday. I'm not reading anything. You guys can go read them word for word on the Raub Jager in the description. But it was horrible. He was just like, I want to take care of you. I was like, why would you want to do that? I was saying stuff like that. I was saying you're being weird. I was like, I can't hang out. He's like, come on, just sneak out. He said that, come sneak out. And he groomed me. And then he tried to offer like, fun time, movies, like typical grooming things. If you want to see a true groomer, those are the chat logs I recommend, along with the Kyle chat logs. If I could post Ken chat logs, those are my I've been talking to Ken for a year. Those are the most chat logs I've ever had from anybody besides Kyle, because Kyle was months of decoying, but like months and months.
I think Kyle
But
is the
Ken,
longest one on
Ken,
Rob
I
Yeager.
will, yeah, Ken,
Ken.
I'll say one word, 2 words, and he's just like, I love you. How are you, baby?
Well, I mean, if
And I'm
people
just
are
like,
interested, go listen to episode 1. I mean, you can hear Ken. I mean, and you can hear Gina walk
his chat
around.
logs are his chat logs are worse than the phone call. I feel like very worse. Like you read them and you're just like, uh,
Chat logs are
she's
always
barely
worse.
saying nothing.
Chat logs are
Yeah.
always worse. I've always stood by that. I've always felt like they're the most revealing because I feel like they're the most comfortable there, which is funny because they probably shouldn't be.
And well, Dr. Phil, there's a lot of obviously they do hours of interviews. There's a whole day of interviews and then they cut it to where they want it. So there's a bunch of things said in interviews that wasn't put out. That happens in every episode, people can assume. And then there was like just funny things that happened that didn't get shown. Probably because he just didn't want to show. But you guys know how Shane's facial expressions are. And Shane had the crowd laughing. Seriously, they probably had to do some crazy editing between between laughs, because they cut out a lot of laughs. So much. Shane was over there doing his funny facial expressions. He was doing hand movements. He would like they cut all that out, and the crowd was just roaring over it. It was pretty hilarious for me as well, because it was during what the pedo was saying. Well, I keep saying the pedo, but I get
He's
technical
a
terms.
he's a pedo. He's a
Yeah,
pedo.
he's a pedo, but like if you want to be technical, whatever, he's a pedo. Okay.
He's a
So
pedo.
but yeah, it was during what he was saying, so it wasn't an inappropriate time or anything, because what he was saying was nonsense and typical groomer behavior. And his wife said how she didn't know he offered alcohol to the girl, and Dr. Phil like reminded her, yeah, he did, and he tried to cover his butt and say, I said if she wanted to. Like that makes it okay to give her that choice. No, no, it doesn't at all. But
I
I was
liked I
like,
liked his whole excuse. He's like, well, yeah, when I do karaoke, I like to drink. It's like, bro, even if that was true, why would you even say that to a minor? Like,
yeah, even offer a place that doesn't check an ID. Like even talk to a 15-year-old in the first place. Block her. But yeah, so I don't know. And Jesse and Josh and Tony, I think they all handled themselves very well. I mean, Jesse was getting jab after jab and he held his composure. I'm not saying the things were out of line or anything, because I think that some things needed to be heard. But I think that the focus of the show could have been different. That's just my opinion. But I'm not very surprised by that. But I think that Jesse held his composure very well, and he didn't let anything get to him. And he also got interrupted a lot, I noticed. what got me was when they got ICAC's opinion, and Jesse was about to talk about the ICAC man we caught, and he got interrupted. So there wasn't much context there. And then the subject got changed, so a lot of explaining could have been done. And due to a schedule and a time crunch, they wouldn't have time for everything we all have wanted to say anyway. And I like how Tony made valid points to the FBI agent and Dr. Phil, or to Dr. Phil, sorry, and how come like the high hanging fruit are the ones like that are being caught or whatever that matter more, it seems, such as teachers, doctors, lawyers, etc. And then the agent said high hanging fruit and low hanging fruit all matter. If that was the case, every single guy we call the cops on should be investigated and arrested, even if it's later on they get arrested after the investigation takes place. But that doesn't happen with all of them. But if they could have kept a lot of interview footage and other things that were said on stage, it would have given viewers more of a context of how we have all done things and how we operate. But I've been seeing a lot of comments. They like they told you guys to stop, because I've been checking out all of their pages and just seeing the feedback that they're getting. And my response to that is that was their personal opinion. That was Dr. Phil and the FBI agent's personal opinion, and ICAC's. And remember, we exposed someone that worked for them. Doesn't mean it's the law. And if it stops, I feel like light won't be shed on how many actually are free and online and ready to endanger children. In which case, I think if it's being done, you see all of that. And when these groups who want to legalize pedophilia get more popular, you won't be surprised and think, wish I would have known so I can do something. No, you do know, because hunter groups are across the country and world.
Vigilantes.
Oh, yeah, vigilantes. You see them, which I don't consider them that. I think it's just funny how he said that. You see them exposed or arrested by some, and yes, some police do work with some teams. It all depends on the areas. So you can't rule out just the teams that were on stage. But that's every day. Like, how do I say this? Like, every day teams catch people. So every day you're seeing someone get caught. You know what I mean? So you know what's going on if like they want to legalize pedophilia and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, the FBI agent and all of them, to me, kind of dodged all the questions that were directed towards them directly. I don't think they wanted to admit that civilians are exposing far more than they are, and I understand that they
Right.
have protocols and things like that, but
Or feel like we're doing their job, because like they go to schooling, they do a lot of learning to be where they're at, and we're civilians who, are just like, hey, we can do this, and we do it. And then they're like, hey, our toes are being stepped on. Like, we go through a lot to do what we do and to be where we're at. So I understand like maybe their thoughts and opinions behind it, but at the end of the day, I mean, how did Dr. Phil start? How did bounty hunters start? Like, think about all that. How do things start? It's by people doing it and not stopping and being consistent and making an impact.
yep.
Also, like, in order like for us to make change, I know a lot of people are like, what could we do? Well, if we sign petitions and email governors and people who are in power that may have a heart and is not a pedo and wants to change like we do, all it takes is us humans and communities and neighbors to make a change. If pedos want it legalized bad enough, it will eventually. Other countries deal with far worse. So stay proactive, check your kids' devices, sign petitions you see to have more punishment for sexual predators, and allow rape kits to be in your area. Anything you can do to help.
Absolutely. Anything you can do to share awareness or even just fight back with trying to be proactive and sharing like Watchdog and things like that, checking your own routes and letting other fellow parents know about applications like that and Qustodio and things like that. Every little bit helps.
Overall, it was a good experience, and I appreciate Dr. Phil allowing us to come on his show, because he did that. He let us come on his platform and be able to talk about this stuff. And at the end of the day, through the good, bad, and ugly, you all saw that how many we catch. which is too many. So hashtag more punishment for sexual predators. I hope you guys all have a good day. Thank you for liking, subscribing, listening, and leaving reviews on our Apple Podcasts and comments and the Instagram messages. If any of you have a betrayal story and you would like to come on the betrayed, you can email us, which is in the description at the bottom, or you can message us on Instagram. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Banana cats.
Banana cats. Peace.